In a universe filled with silence and dust, how did a single spark ignite the miracle of life? This is the story of fire and fury, of oceans born from storms, of a planet forged through chaos, and the first fragile breath of life. In the beginning, there was nothing but darkness. An endless silent void stretched across the newborn universe. There were no stars, no planets, no warmth, only an infinite sea of cold, empty blackness. But deep within that darkness, invisible forces stirred. Tiny ripples twisted through space and time, unseen but powerful. From this chaos, a spark ignited, a point of unimaginable energy and light. The first heartbeat of creation. Roughly 4.6 billion years ago, the endless darkness began to shift. A colossal cloud of gas and dust, a nebula, floated in the void. It was silent, chaotic, yet full of hidden potential. Then, a disturbance, perhaps the shockwave of a nearby supernova. Gravity began its relentless work, pulling particles together. The cloud collapsed inward, growing hotter and denser. At the center, matter compressed so tightly that nuclear fusion ignited. And the sun was born, blazing with furious newborn light. Around it, the remnants spun into a swirling disk. From dust and debris, tiny grains clumped together, sticking, merging, forming larger and larger bodies. Planetesimals grew into protoplanets. In this cosmic dance of collisions and chaos, the foundations of the solar system took shape. And among these newborn worlds, a small, rocky planet began its own journey. The early Earth. Roughly 4.5 billion years ago, amidst the swirling chaos of the newborn solar system, a planet was taking shape. Earth, young, fiery, and violent. In its infancy, Earth was a molten world. Rivers of lava crisscrossed the surface, glowing under a toxic, heavy sky. Volcanic fury unleashed towering plumes of gas and ash. The very air was choked with deadly chemicals. Above this fiery wasteland, the bombardment never ceased. Asteroids and comets pounded the young Earth relentlessly, each impact a cataclysmic explosion. Entire regions melted into vast seas of magma under the onslaught, yet each cosmic blow carried more than destruction. They brought essential ingredients: water, carbon, and the seeds of possibility. Through devastation, Earth was being prepared, forged in fire and fury, for something extraordinary to come. Not long after Earth's fiery birth, just as Earth was settling into its violent youth, a wanderer approached. Theia. A Mars-sized body born from the same dust and chaos. Drawn by the irresistible pull of gravity, it raced toward Earth. The collision was beyond imagining. In an instant, mountains crumbled. Seas of magma exploded skyward. The impact tore Earth apart, vaporizing rock and metal, flinging debris into space. For a moment, Earth and Theia became one, a swirling molten wreckage suspended in the void. But from this cataclysm came creation, the scattered remnants began to dance, to gather, to coalesce. Slowly, steadily, they birthed a new celestial companion. The moon. By 4.4 billion years ago, after the cataclysm, Earth was a broken, battered world. But slowly, it began to heal. The molten surface started to cool. Steaming rains fell from the toxic skies, hissing against the burning ground. For centuries, endless storms battered the planet, quenching its fiery skin. Rain became rivers. Rivers carved valleys. Floods swept across the newborn continents. Oceans began to fill the scars of the young Earth. Seas of blue replaced seas of fire. A shimmering world of water was born. A world ready to cradle something miraculous. Around 4 billion years ago, beneath the young ocean's restless waves, something extraordinary began. In the swirling chaos of ancient tides, molecules collided, fused, and broke apart. Simple chemicals formed complex chains, twisting and folding in endless dances. Lightning cracked across blackened skies, sending raw energy plunging into the oceans below. Deep sea vents belched minerals and heat into the dark waters. Somewhere in this primal brew, the impossible happened. A fragile, self-replicating molecule assembled, a spark of life. It was simple, it was vulnerable, but it could copy itself, and that changed everything. The oceans became a vast laboratory, filled with tiny experiments of survival and growth. The first cells, small, unassuming, but powerful, emerged from the primordial chaos. Life had found a way, against impossible odds. It had begun. Around 2.4 billion years ago, life found a way, and it did more than survive. It transformed the world. Among the first living cells, some discovered a secret. They captured sunlight and wove its energy into life. These tiny pioneers, cyanobacteria, became the architects of a revolution. As they thrived, they released a waste product, oxygen. At first, it was a deadly poison. Oxygen flooded the oceans, reacting with dissolved iron, staining the seas blood red with rust. The skies, once shrouded in noxious gases, slowly shifted to a pale blue. Many ancient life forms, unable to withstand oxygen's power, vanished. But others adapted, or evolved. The Great Oxygenation event was both a catastrophe and a miracle. It wiped out the old world, and cleared the way for something greater. By 2 billion years ago, from the ruins of the old world, new life began to rise. Life that was more ambitious, more daring. Some simple cells made a radical choice. Instead of competing, they merged. Small cells entered larger ones, not as prey, but as partners. Together, they built a new kind of life, the eukaryotic cell. Cells with nuclei to store precious information. Cells with internal engines, mitochondria, to generate vast reserves of energy. These were no longer fragile survivors. They were innovators, architects of complexity. From these tiny architects would eventually come all multicellular life. The forests, the ocean's creatures, the soaring beasts of the skies, and someday, thinking beings who would look back and wonder at it all. But that future was still far ahead. First, The seas had to awaken, in a burst of life unlike anything the world had ever seen. Earth had been forged in fire, cooled by endless storms. Awakened by the first fragile breath of life, the ocean shimmered under newborn skies, silent, waiting. But deep beneath the waves, forces were gathering. New shapes, new strategies, new dreams of survival. A storm of life was about to erupt, a revolution that would forever transform the world.